Hello, this is Navigating Security Frameworks model. Yes, you hear me right. How I navigate security standards as a security engineer. We no one we say he has not. If you are working in this industry at one time or the other, you must have to work with different security standards. And sometimes you ask yourself, which one should I use? And which one is the best, or what exactly is this all about? Once again, my name is John Kayode Abusi, and this is a new episode in my product security engineering. Now, the advice I want to give is that stop worrying, stop memorizing standard, rather memorize the question, get familiar with the question, you know, that you ask to solve the problem. Every security standard you will ever touch, answer one of the three questions I'm about to give. Once you know which, security standard answer those questions, you stop searching and you start knowing exactly where to go. And the purpose of this video is to make that easier. This is my learning. I learned this, I have put it to use, but I feel like I should put it out there for engagement, for people that maybe they have something different, so that we can talk about it. So I'm moving to my next slide. So it's a slide based conversation. Okay, security is the bane of every function, especially within software delivery. Developer see it as a blocker. Sometimes, security get blamed for slowing things down as usual, and infra takes the pager when things go wrong or there is an incident. Infrastructure may be the first point of call. Okay, so security engineering job is not to, create a friction or slow down innovation or development workflow. No, our job is to help build security into our software delivery. That is our job. And these frameworks and standard and benchmarks, they are there for us as resources to use. But because the volume of the resources is overwhelming, is scattered all over the places, it becomes so difficult for us sometimes to get value out of these tools. So what I'm doing in this video is to converge all of them, use them to answer some of the most critical questions we always ask that solve the real problem as security engineers. Yes. So immediately you know these questions, then you begin to look for a way to harness those resources to answer those questions and solve real problem. So I will move forward on this. Now, if you look at the list in my previous slide, you will see that everything we have together today within security engineering, like frameworks, there are more than 20 frameworks. But one thing I've done is to, classify, categorize, and synthesize these 20 plus frameworks into answering three questions and helping three workflows that matters in software delivery. Then there are questions, governing questions for these three workflows that amount to 12 in number. I'm going to share all of them with us, and we can have the right conversation with it. Now, this is the three question. Let me say this is the three workflow, and these are the 12 questions. Now, the first question is, how do we build securely? Why it is the job of security engineer to ask this question, but in implementing, ensuring that happens, the owner of that particular question is the developers or the core engineers. That shows that the job of a security engineer is to build or pave a road for developers to be able to work on that road in such a way that whatever is the outcome of that road, which is their development effort, should be secured. So that is that. Then when that is done, the other question is, how do I prove that they have actually built a secure product? That is where how do I test comes in. And the security workflow that take care of that is penetration testing, red teaming activities, bug bounty, or whatever it is that allows you to test. And sometimes you have questions within that workflows. For instance, you can't just do anything, everything at once. You have to know what to do, where to do it, how to do it, when to do it, who is responsible, who owns it. These are the questions that comes to your mind, and by best practices, that's the right question for you to ask. But sometimes you don't have the answers. The framework is there to help us, navigate this. So then the third question is, how do we show someone else that what we have built securely and what we have tested to verify that, okay, we built securely is actually so? That's why we need somebody who is not within our development team, who is not within our security team, who is a third party, a separate individual or organization that will certify and verify our claim so that the confidence level can be ascertained. And that is how to prove it. And that workflow belongs to audit compliance workflow. So if you look at it now, you will see the three questions, like how do we build right in the first place? How do we prove it's actually secure? And how do we show someone else it's secure? Then we talk about who is responsible, or how is this coming together? The build securely, the test securely, and the prove it, the developer workflow, the pen test, red team workflow, the audit, and the compliance workflow. Now look at the questions, the governing questions that come under these three categories. So you see, what secure practices should we build across SDLC? How do we implement that in code and practice? How mature is our program? How can we assess it against benchmark and see where we are and how we need to improve? How do we secure our open source dependencies and supply chain? These are real questions, solving real problems. But if we don't know which one of these numerous standard benchmark and framework can help us achieve this, we get overwhelmed and eventually we will not get value from these frameworks. So with this slide, I have helped us to put things in perspective and in context, at least baseline, how it can help. Then when you get to the second category, what to test, you can just wake up one morning and say you want to start testing. No, you have to. And ASVS is a very good place to start for application security, for mobile security. That is MASVS and CIS Benchmark too. They kind of practically list what you need to test. Now, if you look at WSTG, PTES, and OSSTMM, they are all in for teaching you how the methodology to test. Then how to score risk. CVE, CWE, CVSS, they tell you some are dictionaries of vulnerabilities, like database of vulnerabilities. Some are categories of vulnerabilities. Why CVSS will help you to score, because the scoring system is there. We help you to score your risk. You test, somebody, some framework teach you, they highlight what you need to test. Another framework or set of framework, give it a methodology how to do it. Then now you get the report back, but you want to know which one is more important. Let me say risk-wise, you have something that can teach you how you can score that risk. Then the last one in that particular group is OWASP Top 10 that gives you something to prioritize with. You can, if you have maybe 20 or 40 vulnerability discovered in your environment, you might not have the bandwidth to solve every problem. You will never have the bandwidth to mitigate, to remediate all of them. But you want to look at those ones that have been certified by industry standard and by best practices, that these are the most dangerous, among all your findings. Prioritize this, commit resources to this first. OWASP Top 10 do that for you. Then the last workflow there is audit and compliance. So you have something that will tell you what management system do we structure or certify against. Then how do we attest control effectiveness to third party? That is SOC 2. What national baseline do we align to? What mandatory legal or industry rules applies to us? You can see PCI DSS if you're in payment industry, GDPR, in Europe, and HIPAA for health platform and what have you. Now, if you look at this, it has shown us that if we know the problem, if we understand the question, we have a question, then we can go for the resources that will give us answers, that will help us to answer, and that will help us to move forward. So that is what happens here. So we have them here. Build securely. These are the major standard and framework that you can use to achieve that. How do we build it right in the first place? Get to these first standard. Then test securely. How do I do my penetration testing, my red teaming? This standard, this first standard can help you. Okay, yes, it can help you. I've explained this. I've talked about how to score the risk. CVSS, we combine with CVE and CWE, we help you to understand and to score your risk in such a way that you'll be able to prioritize. And OWASP Top 10, we give you what to prioritize based on what you have reported. Then the prove it. Like I said, what management system do we structure or certify against? That is for ISO. You got even 42001 for AI. You can see what national baseline do we align to NIST. It could be CSF, it could be 853, it could be AI RMF. It could be anyone. But one important thing is that you know where to go. When you have a question at a time that you want to answer, a problem you want to solve, and you know how to ask the right question, and you now know where to go. You are not overwhelmed. You don't get confused or overwhelmed by all of them. These are the specific ones that can point me in the right direction. Okay, then the operating principle. Don't memorize, like I said in the beginning. Just memorize the question. Building something, testing something, proving something. So if you find yourself, because most of the time, what we do here, I'm not saying this is all in one. No, I'm not saying this is all encompassing. No, I'm saying based on my observation and my research and my experience is when we are building, we are securing along the way. When we finish building, we test to make sure that what we build, the secure product we build, those security features we embed within our development workflow actually work. We test. Then when we test and say, okay, it actually works, we still need a third party, somebody that is out of the ring to say, okay, you are actually secure. So if you are building something, if you are testing something, if you are proving something, you all have every framework, every framework you can turn to, streamline here for you. Okay, then again, this is glossary 1 for build securely. And this is glossary 2 for testing or test securely. And what I have here is just to have an idea of, like a snippet of what individual framework or standard can give you. For instance, if you look at PTES here, it says penetration testing execution standard. If you look at CIS Benchmark, secure configuration baseline for OS, cloud, and infrastructure. So you can see by the time you are testing. Now, let me give you an example. If you are doing a penetration testing or you are doing let me say penetration testing, what are you testing? What? Is it a web application? So if it's a web application, you can see that OWASP ASVS might be more relevant to you. Yes. So that is how it works. Then prove it. These are the standards that are applicable to security. And what do you get? For instance, NIST is Federal Security Control Catalog. ISO is Certifiable Information Security Management System. SOC 2 is third-party attestation against trust services criteria, like reliability, like privacy, and the rest of the trust services. So at the end of the day, there's something I want to make clear. My classification here or my organization doesn't mean that maybe a particular framework to a particular question. No. But this, I don't want to bring complexity into this. We have a complexity in place. I'm trying to demystify that and operationalize something out of that. So now the caveat is that my classification doesn't say every framework to a question to a workflow. No. You might if you want, maybe you do your work to a certain level, you might discover that some framework can also do something across multiple questions. But as a baseline to start with, not to get overwhelmed, this is the best I have been able to work with and that work for me. So maybe by the time you get past this initial stage with all these classification, with this simple classification and question answering, then you might want to look at maybe how you can mature it across multiple framework, even for a single question. So that is what I want to say there. So yeah, to that, I come to the end of this video. Like I said, once again, my name is John Kayode Abusi, and I'm doing this as part of my product security learning series. And this will be available. If you have any question, you can reach out to me. And if you have any engagement that you have some, you want to discuss this, I'm open to how you are doing and how you are handling this. Thank you once again, and peace out. See you in the next one.